Hello, it's Adrian here from Arcade Attack, and today I'm going to whiz through my personal top 10 Amiga games of all time. Do you agree with my choices? Well, sit back, enjoy, and then comment below. Thank you. Number 10 on my list is North and South, the 1989 game from Infogrames. This iconic and loosely set military history game is based on the Belgian comic book Les Tuniques Bleues, known in English as the Blue Jackets. This strategy game allows you to replay the American Civil War from both the North and South sides. You move your troops across the map and aim to build up armies to defeat your foe. The main battle elements of the game are controlling your troops and wiping out your opposition. The battles are played across a top-down view where you can control soldiers on horseback and cannons. There is also a nice side view platformer minigame where you need to capture an enemy fort or train. For me, the two-player mode is where the game really bursts into life. I have countless memories of playing this game with my two brothers. The game mixes great colourful visuals, comedy styles, simple gameplay, and just enough strategy elements to make this one truly memorable title. North and South was recently remastered and available on numerous platforms including the Switch. I quite enjoyed the remastered version, however the game now moves away slightly from the iconic battle scenes and the map, which is still present, but the main game is a slightly hollow FPS title. Overall, I still prefer the original version. Please check out North and South today.
Dad, I'm really bored.
Please don't be afraid. I'm the advisor, and I'm here to take you to a magical land. You first, lad. Friends can come too. And even grown-ups. Roll up for the greatest show on earth.
Number 9 for me is Theme Park, made in 1994 by Bullfrog. Growing up, I loved my family trips to Thorpe Park and Chessington World of Adventures. Who doesn't love a great theme park, right? But what's better than actually enjoying an amazing roller coaster and feeling the wind through your hair and feeling mildly nauseous? Well, making and designing your own, of course. Theme Park gives you the reins to create your very own, theme park. You place your rides, build pathways, and add all the confectionery and drink stalls you can shake a salty stick at. The game truly comes to life when you can design your very own roller coasters and water rapid rides. This managerial simulation is surprisingly deep once you truly get your teeth into it. You can allocate funds to various research projects, hire and fire staff, and make subtle changes to your shops. Two great tips are: 1. Add extra salt to your chips, forcing your little punters to get really thirsty, and then 2. Build a drink stall nearby with as much ice in each cola cup as humanly possible. This game introduced me to management-based games, and this genre soon became a personal favourite. Roller Coaster Tycoon took everything great from Theme Park. And in 8th place is Zool, the 1992 platformer made by Gremlin. I first spotted Zool in an Amiga magazine, and it was love at first sight. This badass ant-like ninja for the nth dimension seemed to have an attitude level cranked up to 11, and he really drew me in. He seemed to ooze the coolness from every pore. With his iconic red bandana, his sarcastic eyes, and his utility belt slung casually over his shoulder, this was one rad dude. I'd found my Amiga platforming saviour at long last. All hail Gremlin. The magazines were hyped too. The game would showcase speed rivaled by Sonic, with jumping abilities only Mario could muster. For me, Zool was the best of both worlds. In my eyes, Zool was Mario and Sonic combined. The graphics truly were a piece of art. The colours were so vibrant and in your face. I also loved the Chupa Chup lollies, which 9-year-old wouldn't. I must have spent all day taking it turns with my brothers playing this game. When I first got my grubby mitts on it, I was in heaven. I adored this game. Nostalgia goggles through the roof. Zool for me was Amiga's first true mascot and Commodore's answer to Sega's Sonic and Nintendo's Mario. I now know this was a foolish ideology, especially since he was hardly exclusive to that platform. In fact, he was ported across more consoles and computers that you could shake a stick at, thankfully not the stick from Bubba and Sticks. And replaying Zool now, I must admit, very grudgingly, it's not as good as I remember. The controls are slidey, the jumping mechanics are original but frustrating, and it's just too fast for my slow reflexes to contend with. I still feel the Amiga version is the best, and it is well worth giving it a go if you haven't played before. Zool isn't perfect, but this little guy will always be close to my heart, so in my mind, Zool rules. And in 7th place we have Syndicate, a 1993 game made by Bullfrog. Syndicate launches you into a world of cyberpunk goodness, chock full of shady characters, amazing weapons, and missions so hard that Ethan Hunt would lose sleep over. In the future, the world is controlled by a handful of global corporations, better known as syndicates. You are the marketing director for one of these companies. It is your job to take control away from the competitors. The job is not one of diplomacy, but one of brute force and physical control. Advance your way to the top of the corporation by successfully completing your missions and managing the money you make from your territories. The gameplay is visually reminiscent of XCOM, with an angled top-down perspective, but it is real-time rather than turn-based. Your missions range from infiltrate and capture to seek and destroy. In each of these, you direct a team of 4 agents as they move through the world, shooting at anything that gets in their way. You can upgrade and modify your agents as well as equip them with tools you have researched or liberated from opposing syndicates. As you complete missions, you gain more funds to use for purchasing agents or researching upgrades and equipment. One of the most memorable weapons in Syndicate is the Persuadertron, a device used by agents to coerce civilians and some law enforcement into temporary service. In 6th place I have Moonstone, A Hard Day's Night, made in 1991 by Mindscape. Something's happening in these lands, and the only hope seems to be the Moonstone. You, as a chosen knight from the Druids, are about to find it and bring it back. The game can be played from 1 to 4 players at once, with no difference between solo and multiplayer, as no matter how many players play, the story stays the same for everyone. However, if you choose to play with only one knight, the other 3 will be the computer rivals. Wandering through the map, you can visit enchanted places, towns, where you can buy equipment or try your luck in gambling. But mostly visited places on the map will be cabins, which represent the places where certain enemy beasts are. Each spot has about 2 or more beasts, which are, after defeating them, can be rewarding in a certain way, depending on the game's randomized placement. The game is also a true bloodbath and does not shy away from the violence and gore that is befitting to a battlefield. I have so many fond memories of playing this game with my brothers, but without pristine timing, quick reflexes and a little bit of luck along the way, you won't get very far in this very tough adventure. In 5th place we have Another World, also known as Out of This World in the US markets, made in 1991 by Delphine Software. Another World starts with one of the most legendary and well animated intro sequences ever made for a video game. The animation used is crisp, smooth and so well done, I honestly don't think the style has aged a day since I first laid eyes on it in the early 90s. The story starts with Lester, a young physicist, showing off his immaculate parking skills with his sports car zooming into shot. Lester then enters a lift and passes through various scanners and security measures to enter a futuristic lab. He quickly logs into his computer and uses Windows 16, I can't be 100% sure of this, to play around with some modifications of particles, just like the fly, and craziness endures. Lester is clearly a man who believes in his abilities as he nonchalantly sits back and opens a can of soda. However, Lester's experiment quickly goes awry when he somehow manages to cook up a lightning storm and then transports a huge chunk of his lab, Lester included, to a whole other dimension, or should I say another world. Eric Chahi deserves massive kudos for this piece of art, which sets the scene perfectly for the unforgettable game that lays ahead. Another World is a platform game that shares a similar look and feel to Prince of Persia and Flashback. Controlling Lester, you must battle your way through numerous alien landscapes and settings. You start the game unarmed but quickly acquire a nifty laser. Throughout this amazing game you come across a small selection of different foes and situations which require a combination of quick thinking and quick reflexes. You soon get captured by a weird humanoid alien race and find yourself in a swinging jail cell inside a highly guarded prison camp. This is where I feel the game quickly turns into a top game, an amazing game, to even a legendary game, by introducing you to your fellow inmate Buddy. After escaping your cell and subsequently also freeing your soon-to-be alien friend, you quickly build a good relationship which will become extremely important as the game progresses. Lester and Buddy are one of my favourite video game duos. The fact that they can't communicate with their mother tongue just makes the relationship even more remarkable. You both have a simple goal, however: escape the prison camp and this bizarre planet. Another very clever and original aspect of Another World is the laser you acquire quite early in the game. This multi-purpose gun has 3 clever uses. Simply pressing the shoot button will send out a quick laser burst that will quickly take down your foes with one shot. Keeping the shoot button held down for 2 to 3 seconds, then released, will release a very handy, albeit temporary force field which will protect you from an onslaught of lasers. Hold down the shoot button for even longer and your gun will really come into its own. A giant laser beam will be charged, which can be used to blow down doors or enemy force fields. There is something so satisfying about sending a huge destructive laser beam, destroying everything in its path and leaving your enemies as little more than charred bones. I love this game. Please play it today. Thank you. And in 4th place we have Dune 2, The Battle for Arrakis. The planet Arrakis, also known as Dune for its sandy landscape, is the only place in the known universe where melange, more commonly known as spice, can be found. The spice is the basis of interstellar travel and thus the standard of the imperial economy. To increase productivity, the Padishah Emperor has invited 3 powerful houses, the Harkonnen, Atreides and Ordos, to compete against one another economically and bring up spice production. Competition among these houses begins peacefully but soon turns ugly as they battle each other with armed troops, advanced weaponry and spies. The planet itself is also hostile, with dangerous sandworms inhabiting the spice fields. Dune 2 is often considered the first mainstream modern real-time strategy game and established many conventions of the genre. Even though it's set in Frank Herbert's famous Dune universe, the game is only loosely connected to the plot of any of the books or the films based on them. Controlling either of the 3 houses, the players must fight a number of battles against the other houses. In the early levels, the goal is simply to earn a certain number of credits, while in the latter missions, all enemies must be destroyed. A single resource in the game is the spice, which must be collected by harvesters. The spice is converted to credits in a refinery, which are then spent to construct additional buildings and units. There are 2 terrain types. Buildings can only be constructed on stone, while the spice is only found on the sand. However, units moving on sand attract the large sandworms of Dune, who are virtually indestructible and can swallow even large units whole. As levels progress, new and more advanced buildings and units are made available, including structures like a radar station, a repair facility or defence turrets, and for units, various ground troops, light vehicles and tanks. Each house can construct 1 unique special unit, and after building a palace improvement can unleash a unique palace effect. Here's a fun fact: out of the 3 playable houses in Dune 2, House Ordos is never mentioned in Frank Herbert's books. In 3rd place we have Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge, made in 1991 by LucasArts. Guybrush Threepwood, a mighty pirate who can hold his breath for 10 minutes, could have lived quite happily and quietly with his sweetheart Elaine, the governor of Mealy Island. But the restless pirate spirit won't let Guybrush in peace. Things don't go very well with Elaine, and Guybrush, now with a beard, embarks on a new adventure, searching for the legendary treasure of Big Whoop. However, the evil ghost pirate LeChuck hasn't left the stage yet. His subordinates are trying to bring him back from the dead one more time. Will Guybrush be able to defeat his arch enemy again? Monkey Island 2 is a puzzle-solving adventure game and a sequel to The Secret of Monkey Island. It utilises the same command-based SCUM interface and branched dialogue system, choosing between several different responses during conversations that were used in its predecessor. The game features hand-painted graphics and is the first to utilise LucasArts' Amuse system, which synchronises music with visual action on the screen by providing smooth transitions between themes. The events of the game take place on a new set of islands. Part of the game allows the player to explore several islands simultaneously. Uncommonly for adventure games, LeChuck's Revenge features 2 difficulty levels. The easier one is dubbed Monkey Island 2 Light. It bypasses or simplifies some of the harder puzzles. This game really does take the original title and add in even more Monkey Island mystery goodness. The comedy and puzzles are still just the right tone and difficulty, and there is something so lovable about supporting a true underdog like Guybrush to succeed. The Amiga version of this game was nicknamed Disc Juggling Simulator by the Amiga community because it came packed on 11 whole discs that had to be swapped around whilst playing the game.
Superstar hero. Go starring superstar hero. You let your head down and play with the fans. You're a go starring superstar hero. And every goal says you're the best in the land.
Passes to Morgan, passes to Gibson. On to the
And in second place we have Sensible World of Soccer, also known as SWOS, made in 1994 by Sensible Software. Sensible World of Soccer is an enhanced version of Sensible Soccer. It took everything that was so good about the original title and added more and more options and more playability. Every important soccer league in the world is included. All the countries, all the clubs, you can shake a stick out in the game. The game also boasts quite a detailed career mode where you can play up to 20 seasons as a player manager or purely just as a manager. During a career as a coach, you're not only tied to one club or national team, meaning if you're good enough, one or more big clubs can make offers for you to coach their team also. All the teams featured in the game have real player names, accurate strengths and weaknesses. And I believe there's over 24,000 players to choose from in total. Of course, you can buy these players and improve your squad as long as you have enough money available and there's a free slot in your team. My recommendation is to get Dennis Bergkamp into your team as soon as possible. Beside the player manager career, you can also play friendly matches, single seasons of any competition, and of course custom competitions and loads of fun silly teams to play and make from scratch. It is so multifunctional, it is really worth dabbing around with. In my eyes though, SWOS really comes to life with the management element of the game. This is the part that I adored as a kid. Me and my brothers would play full seasons trying to get our beloved Arsenal up to winning the Premier League, winning the trophies. The gameplay is unbelievable, still so fresh today. There's no better game really for a two-player quick game with your friends. It really is as good today as it was 20 odd years ago. Guys, Sensible World of Soccer, really worth giving a go today. And the best game in my view on the Amiga ever made is The Secret of Monkey Island, made in 1990 by LucasArts. I remember going to my mate Usman's house in the early 90s and would always marvel at his quickly growing Amiga collection. One day I popped over after school and I saw a new game on the pile of classic titles. The Secret of Monkey Island, I read out loudly. Oh yes, said Usman. But you won't like that game. Why? I asked. The cover looks so inviting. It's quite a slow game, lots of reading, not really your thing, said Usman. I was a bit shocked, a little bit hurt. But Usman had a point. I was quite, how do I say it, hyperactive as a kid. But there was something about this game that drew me in. Something about the cover. Seeing that picture of Guybrush, seeing that picture of the pirates. I just had to play it. I pleaded and pleaded until Usman finally succumbed to my pestering. Fine, he said, and chucked in the first disc. The moment I laid my eyes on Mealy Island and that unforgettable song burst into life, I was hooked. So what is The Secret of Monkey Island? Deep in the Caribbean lies Mealy Island, ruled by the governor Elaine Marley. The cruel pirate LeChuck is deeply in love with her, so deeply that he refuses to accept his own death. As a ghost, he dwells with his undead crew somewhere near the mysterious Monkey Island. Meanwhile, a young fellow named Guybrush Threepwood is determined to become a real pirate. At the Scum Bar, he meets 3 pirates who tell him he has to complete 3 difficult tasks in order to be worthy of this title. But as Guybrush is trying to complete these tasks, he encounters the lovely governor and this meeting changes his life forever. Risking to incur the wrath of LeChuck, Guybrush has to prove his wit is as sharp as his sword and figure out a way to foil the Ghost Pirate's plans. The Secret of Monkey Island is an adventure game that utilises the command verb based SCUM interface first introduced in Maniac Mansion. The player constructs commands for Guybrush by selecting an appropriate verb and then combining it with an object or an inventory item. Objects can then be interacted with, which are highlighted when the player places a cursor over them. The game is the first LucasArts adventure in which it is impossible to get irrevocably stuck. Like in Loom, the player character also cannot die. The branching dialogue system, where the player chooses between several available responses during conversations, allows the player to talk to characters in different ways without fearing a wrong choice, and is often used as a humorous device. The puzzles are predominantly inventory based. Most of the problems in the game are solved by picking up items and combining them with each other or with objects or people in the game world. Several tasks are dialogue based, however. Among those is the humorous and infamous insult sword fighting, which involves Guybrush learning and choosing witty insults while dueling pirates. Well, there you go, guys. The Secret of Monkey Island is a game that I feel has never been surpassed. The atmosphere, the look, the feel, the sound, the humour, it just really drew me in, and I've replayed it recently, of course, with the classic pixel graphics, and it really hasn't aged at all badly. It is just as fun as it was back then. I'm a huge fan of Monkey Island games. I'm a huge adventure game fan. This title led me into that. But there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Other notable games I really enjoyed on the Amiga that didn't quite make my list include Worms, Silkworm, Swiv, Lemmings, It Came From the Desert, Fiendish Freddy's Big Topo Fun, Weird Dreams, Cannon Fodder, Speedball 2, Pang, IK Plus, Alien Breed, Body Blows, The Chaos Engine, Rodland. I could list many more. I adored the Amiga growing up. So many great games. I recommend checking out some of the games I mentioned today. Do it now.